Hello, I'm Phoebe, the Sunday Times Star's fashion assistant, and I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own essential face mask. So what you'll need is 100% cotton or linen, your pattern, fabric shears, dressmaking pins, thread, safety pin, and of course your sewing machine. Step 1, we have our linen folded in half so that when we cut out our pattern pieces we're getting 2 at each time. So I've got my pattern piece, I'm going to place that on here and pin it to the fabric. And now we're ready to cut that out. So we're going to cut this out once and then do it again. Now we have our main components for our mask. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces here, and then we need our ties. I've got 4 strips of fabric here, which are 4.5 centimeters wide and 50 centimeters long. And what you need to do is take one strip, fold it in half like so, and we're going to stitch 0.5 centimeters down so that you've got 4 tunnels. So there's our first one. Repeat that on all of the other ties. 2. Okay, so our next stage for the ties is to attach your safety pin to one end, and then we need to thread it down through, and you're gonna ease the safety pin down to pull the ties inside out. This can get a little bit fiddly, sometimes it can get stuck. So just go slowly with it. There's our safety pin at the other end. So now we just want to finish pulling that through. Try not to get too carried away. This is usually where it comes and bites me on the bum. So that's turned out. So now we want to do that with our 3 other ties. We now have our 4 bagged out ties, which are all ready. I've also just done a little top stitch on the end just to neaten that up. And now we can start making our mask. We have our 4 pieces. Now, how we cut this, the right side is on the top and at the bottom. We want to put our right sides together so that once we've sewn it and flipped it back the right way, the seam is on the inside. I'm just going to pop a couple of pins in here to hold it in place. Because we have this curve, it can actually stretch the fabric, so it's easier to sew it if you just pop a couple of pins in, like so. Now this pattern has 1 centimeter seam allowance, so it's only actually on the ties that we're doing 0.5. Take the pins out as you're going along. It's the first one. Okay, so now we have our outer layer and our lining. Now, one thing that we will do is, because this is on a curve, you want to cut into your seam allowance, stopping just before the stitch line. And that's just going to help it open and sit nice and flat. When we press it, you don't want it to be really bulky, especially over your nose. And now this is ready to be pressed. That's helped it, so it's definitely worth doing that. Now next, we want to bag out our mask. Again, right sides together, so seams are on the outside. You want to put one inside the other and pin. Now I like to start the pinning at the seam here, so that you know that you're starting right in the middle and working your way out. We also want to attach our ties. So we're going to have effectively one here and one here, but we need to remember about our seam allowance. So it's a 1 centimeter again, and we want these, just pin those in place. What I like to do is fold it in half for when you're sewing, so that it's actually a little bit narrower by the side of your face, and then it can open up. Approximately 1 centimeter down. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit more than 1 centimeter, but you don't want it to be on that corner. So that's number 1. Pin those into place, like so, and do the same on the other side, with the ties coming out at the bottom. That's ready to sew, so we're going to go up the left, all the way along the top, and straight down the right hand side as well. And then let's pause sewing, and then we can keep going from the bottom. As you can see, we've now got our little pouch that we will turn inside out, but first we need to sew up the side. So what I'd like to do take your ties, just wrap them up and pop them inside there. Wrap up again, pop inside, and then we just want to pin again our seam, our centre front seams together. So we're going to stitch down the side, but we're going to stop about 6 centimetres from this end. That's the opening that we need so that we can bag it out, turn it back inside out with the ties attached. Just remove any loose threads, and what we want to do is snip the corners off just so that they're not too bulky. And now we turn inside out. Might find it easier to grab the ties. This bit can be a little bit fiddly. Don't rush it, you don't want to rip your stitching. Here we go. So now I'm going to go press this. So here we have our finished face mask. The only thing left is we do still have this small opening here. Now it's up to you if you want to leave that open or if you want to close it. You might like to add a filter or another layer of fabric later. So I choose to leave mine open, but if you do want to close it, you can just do a very small, close to the edge top stitch, or you could sew it by hand if you're comfortable using a needle and thread. And voila, one face mask.